Jiwoo stood at the viewing window of the transport ship, watching the massive orbital station grow larger with each passing moment. The Galactic Defense Academy looked like a small moon, all silver metal and glowing lights against the darkness of space. Her reflection stared back at her from the glass. She looked tired. The journey from Earth had taken 3 weeks, even with the new jump gates humanity had been given access to. She touched the patch on her uniform. It showed Earth's blue and green surface with the words Terran Defense Force written above it. The patch still looked new because it was new. Humans had only joined the Galactic Coalition 3 years ago. Before that, humanity thought they were alone in the universe. Now Jiwoo was heading to train alongside aliens at the most prestigious military academy in known space. The transport ship docked with a heavy clunk that Jiwoo felt through the floor. She grabbed her bag and followed the other passengers toward the exit. Most of them were not human. There was a tall crystalline being that looked like walking glass, its body refracting light into rainbow patterns. Next to it walked something that resembled a large beetle, clicking and chittering to itself. Jiwoo tried not to stare. The docking bay was enormous. Hundreds of beings moved through it, heading in different directions. Jiwoo had studied the major species before leaving Earth, but seeing them in person was different. She felt small. At 5 feet 6 inches, she was average height for a human woman, but many of the aliens around her towered over her. New arrivals. Follow the green line, a mechanical voice announced from overhead speakers. Jiwoo looked down and saw glowing green lines on the floor. She followed them with a group of other newcomers. They entered a large hall filled with rows of seats. The room was already half full with cadets from dozens of different species. Jiwoo found an empty seat near the back and sat down. A human male sat down next to her a moment later. He looked as nervous as she felt. First time off Earth? He asked in Korean, clearly recognizing her features. Yes, Jiwoo replied. You too? Yeah, I'm Hoon from Busan. Jiwoo, Seoul. They shook hands, both glad to find another human in the crowd. Hoon pointed toward the front of the room where a group of large armored beings stood together. Those are Vexians. They're supposed to be one of the strongest warrior races in the galaxy. Jiwoo studied them. They stood nearly 8 feet tall with 4 arms each. Their bodies were covered in what looked like natural armor plating in shades of dark green and brown. One of them turned and Jiwoo saw his face. It was almost humanoid but harder, with sharper angles and small bone ridges above the eyes. The lights dimmed and a holographic figure appeared at the front of the hall. It was another alien, this one reptilian with scales that shifted between blue and purple. Welcome to the Galactic Defense Academy, the hologram said. I am Commander Velthar. You have been selected from thousands of applicants across hundreds of worlds. You are here because you showed potential, but potential means nothing without discipline and training. The commander's eyes seemed to scan the room. You will spend the next year learning combat techniques, tactical strategy, weapon systems, and survival skills. Many of you will fail. That is expected. Those who succeed will become officers in the Coalition Defense Forces. The hologram flickered and changed, showing images of space battles and ground combat. You will train with beings different from yourselves. You will learn to trust species you have never met. This is not optional. The Coalition stands together, or it falls apart. The presentation continued for another hour, explaining rules, schedules, and expectations. When it finally ended, the cadets were directed to their assigned quarters. Jiwoo and Hoon discovered they were in the same residential section, though in different rooms. Jiwoo's quarters were small but comfortable. A bed, a desk, a storage locker, and a private bathroom. The walls were bare metal. She unpacked her bag, placing a photo of her family on the desk. Her parents had been proud when she was accepted to the academy, but also worried. Humans were still new to galactic society. They did not know how other species would treat them. The next morning, Jiwoo woke early and put on her training uniform. It was simple. Gray pants and a gray shirt with her name and the Earth patch. She followed the directions on her datapad to the main training hall. The training hall was massive. It had to be to accommodate so many different species. Some needed water environments. Others needed different gravity settings. The human section was set to Earth normal gravity, which Jiwoo found comforting. An instructor, a being that looked like an upright turtle with 6 legs, divided them into groups. Jiwoo found herself in a group with Hoon, 2 avian aliens with colorful feathers, and one of the Vexians from the orientation hall. The Vexian looked down at Jiwoo and Hoon with obvious disdain. "Humans," he said, his voice deep and rough. "I am Thalrek. I have heard about your species. You come from a soft world with weak gravity. I wonder why the Academy accepted you." Jiwoo felt anger rise in her chest but kept her face calm. "We're here to learn, same as everyone else." Thalrek laughed. It was not a friendly sound. "Learn? What can soft-worlders learn about combat? Your planet had no real predators, no real challenges. You evolved in paradise while my ancestors fought for survival every day." Hoon stepped forward. "You don't know anything about Earth." "I know enough," Thalrek replied. He flexed his forearms, the muscles visible even under his uniform. "I know that humans are weak, small, fragile. You will not last a week in advanced combat training." Before either Jiwoo or Hoon could respond, the instructor called for attention. The training session began with basic fitness assessments. They ran, lifted weights, and completed obstacle courses. The equipment adjusted automatically for each species' physiology. Thalrek excelled at the strength tests, lifting weights that would have crushed Jiwoo. He made sure everyone noticed, grunting loudly and flexing afterward. But during the endurance run, Jiwoo noticed something interesting. After 20 minutes, Thalrek was breathing heavily, his pace slowing.
Jiwoo felt fine.
She could have run for hours. When the session ended, Thalrek approached Jiwoo again. "You did better than I expected, human. But running away is not combat. When we face real challenges, your weakness will show." "Maybe," Jiwoo said quietly. That evening, Jiwoo met Hoon in the cafeteria. They sat together, eating food that the station's computers had synthesized to match Earth cuisine. It was close, but not quite right. "Thalrek is going to be a problem," Hoon said. "Probably," Jiwoo agreed. "But we're here to prove ourselves. Not to him, to ourselves." Around them, other cadets ate and talked. The cafeteria was filled with dozens of languages and the smell of foods Jiwoo could not identify. She watched a group of Vexians sitting together, Thalrek among them. He was talking loudly, gesturing with his forearms, probably still mocking the humans. Jiwoo turned away. She had not come to the stars to fight with arrogant aliens. She had come to serve, to represent Earth and to show that humans belonged among the stars. If Thalrek wanted to underestimate her, that was his mistake. She finished her meal and returned to her quarters. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. She needed to be ready. The xenobiology classroom was different from anything Jiwoo had experienced on Earth. The walls were transparent, showing the stars beyond. Floating holographic displays surrounded each student, adjusting to show information in their native language. Jiwoo's display showed everything in Korean and English. The instructor was a being called a Kaltorian, with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. She introduced herself as Professor Minseo. Jiwoo was surprised to hear a Korean name, but the professor explained that Kaltorians chose names from the cultures they studied. Minseo had specialized in human culture and language. "Today we discuss planetary classifications," Minseo said, her voice soft but clear. "All life-bearing worlds are rated on a scale from Class 1 to Class 10. This rating measures how dangerous the planet is to life." The holographic displays changed, showing different planets. Minseo continued. "Class 1 worlds are the safest. Stable climate, low gravity, few predators, minimal disease. Most advanced civilizations began on Class 1 or 2 worlds." She gestured and images appeared. The Kaltorian homeworld is Class 2. Comfortable temperatures year-round. Rain is gentle. Gravity is low. We evolved with very few threats. More images appeared. Class 3 through 6 worlds have moderate challenges. Seasonal weather changes. Medium gravity. Some dangerous animals. Most species in the coalition evolved on Class 3 to 6 worlds. She paused. The Vexian homeworld, Vex Prime, is Class 5. Jiwoo saw Thalrek sitting several rows ahead. His posture was straight and proud. Minseo's expression became serious. Then we have Class 7 through 10. These are called Deathworlds. They are planets that actively try to kill everything living on them. The holographic displays showed terrifying images. Planets with massive storms. Creatures with enormous teeth and claws. Volcanic eruptions and earthquakes. Many of the alien students looked disturbed. Class 7 worlds have high gravity and dangerous weather. Class 8 worlds add deadly predators and diseases. Class 9 worlds have extreme radiation or toxic atmospheres in addition to everything else. Mincio paused for effect. There are only 12 known Class 10 death worlds in the explored galaxy. She gestured, and a familiar blue and green planet appeared in the displays. Earth is one of them. The classroom erupted in surprised chatter. Thalrek turned in his seat to stare at Jiwoo and Hoon. His expression was skeptical. Mincio raised her hand for silence. Let me explain why Earth earned this classification. First, gravity. Earth's gravity is 1.0 g, which is high compared to most inhabited worlds. Vex Prime, for example, is only 0.7 g. This means humans evolved carrying more weight with every movement, she continued. Second, atmospheric composition. Earth's atmosphere is 21% oxygen. This is extremely high. For most species here, breathing Earth's air would be toxic. It would damage their lungs. But humans evolved to use this high oxygen for intense physical activity. More images appeared showing Earth's predators: lions, tigers, bears, crocodiles, sharks. Third, megafauna. Earth is filled with massive predators. For millions of years, humans were prey. They were hunted. They had to become smarter and tougher to survive. Jiwoo watched the other students' reactions. Many looked shocked. Some looked frightened. Fourth, diseases. Earth has billions of bacteria and viruses. The human immune system fights constant battles just to keep humans alive. They developed one of the most aggressive immune systems known to science. Mincio walked between the rows of students. Fifth, weather. Earth has hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, floods, droughts, and temperature ranges from -50 to +50 degrees Celsius. Humans learn to survive in all of these conditions. Thalrek raised one of his 4 hands. But Professor, if Earth is so dangerous, how did humans become advanced? Shouldn't such a harsh world prevent civilization? Mincio smiled. Excellent question. The answer is that harsh conditions breed innovation. Humans had to be creative to survive. They had to cooperate. They had to adapt constantly. This made them very good at solving problems. She pulled up a new display. Let me show you human physical capabilities that evolved from living on a death world. First, endurance. Humans can run for hours without stopping. This is called persistence hunting. Ancient humans would chase prey animals until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. Impossible, Thalrek muttered. Not impossible. Documented, Mincio replied calmly. Human leg and breathing structures are designed for sustained movement. Most species, including Vexians, are built for short bursts of power. Humans are built for marathons, she continued. Second, thermal regulation. Humans can survive in extreme heat and extreme cold. They sweat to cool down and shiver to warm up. They can adapt to nearly any temperature zone. Third, healing. Human bones can break and regrow stronger. Their skin can repair itself from terrible damage. Their immune systems can adapt to new diseases within days. Fourth, pain tolerance. Humans have high pain thresholds. They can continue fighting even with serious injuries. Their bodies produce chemicals called adrenaline and endorphins that let them ignore pain in emergencies. The classroom was silent now. Everyone was paying close attention. Fifth, vision. Humans have forward-facing eyes like predators. They have excellent depth perception and can see in color. They can track movement very effectively. Mincio looked around the room. Humans are persistence predators. They are built to chase, to endure, and to never give up. This is what evolution on a death world creates. After class, Mincio approached Jiwoo and Hoon. I hope my lecture was informative. Many species do not understand what death world origins mean. It was very informative, Professor, Jiwoo said. But I'm not sure it will change how others see us. Mincio's large eyes studied her. Give it time. Knowledge spreads slowly, but it spreads. Over the next few weeks, training intensified. The instructors tested all cadets in various combat scenarios: hand-to-hand combat, weapons training, tactical exercises, and survival simulations. Jiwoo noticed patterns. In strength competitions, Thalrek and other large species dominated. But in endurance challenges, humans excelled. While others tired after 30 minutes of continuous movement, Jiwoo and Hoon could keep going for hours. Thalrek noticed too, and it clearly bothered him. He began making more comments. Running is not fighting, he would say. In real combat, speed and endurance mean nothing if you cannot strike hard enough to hurt your enemy. During one training session, the instructor demonstrated grappling techniques. Thalrek volunteered to demonstrate, choosing Jiwoo as his partner. He was confident he could overpower her easily with his 4 arms and superior strength. But when he grabbed her, something unexpected happened. Jiwoo did not collapse under his grip. Her bones did not break. She was smaller than him, but her Deathworld-evolved skeleton was dense and strong. She twisted in his grip using flexibility he did not expect and slipped free. Thalrek was surprised but tried to hide it. "Lucky escape," he said. "Technique," Jiwoo replied simply. The instructor, watching carefully, nodded in approval. "Good. Humans have flexible joints and strong core muscles. This makes them difficult to grapple effectively." Thalrek's pride was hurt. Later in the cafeteria, Jiwoo overheard him talking to other Vexians. "These humans think they are warriors because they can run and twist away. But they have no real strength, no real power. They do not belong in combat roles." Hoon heard it too and started to stand, but Jiwoo put her hand on his arm. "Let it go." "He's insulting all of us," Hoon said. "I know. But words are just words. If he wants to believe we're weak, that's his choice." But Thalrek was not finished. Over the next few days, his comments became more public. He began challenging the presence of humans in the advanced combat program. He spoke loudly in training halls and common areas, saying that humans were taking spots that should go to real warriors from real warrior species. Finally, during a tactical exercise, Thalrek made his move. The exercise was a simulated battle where teams competed to capture objectives. Thalrek's team was supposed to work with Jiwoo's team, but Thalrek deliberately ignored the plan. He wanted to show that humans were useless in combat. The exercise was a disaster. Without coordination, both teams failed their objectives. The instructors were not pleased. In the debriefing, Commander Velthar addressed Thalrek directly. "Your pride cost both teams their success. Cooperation is essential in the coalition military." Thalrek stood at attention. "With respect, Commander, I believe I am proving a point. Humans are not ready for combat roles. They should not be in advanced training." The room went silent. Every eye turned to Thalrek, then to Jiwoo and Hoon. Commander Velthar's scales shifted to a darker shade, a sign of anger in his species. "You wish to prove humans are weak?" "Yes, Commander. Then I propose a demonstration. You will face Cadet Jiwoo in the combat arena. Full contact sparring. We will see if your beliefs have merit." Thalrek smiled, showing sharp teeth. "I accept." Everyone looked at Jiwoo. She felt her heart pounding but kept her voice steady. "I accept as well." Commander Velthar nodded. "1 week from today. The entire academy will watch. Prepare well." The week before the match felt both too long and too short. Jiwoo spent every free moment in the training halls, studying combat recordings and practicing techniques. Hoon joined her, helping her drill movements until they became automatic. News of the challenge spread through the academy like fire. Everywhere Jiwoo went, cadets whispered and pointed. Some looked at her with sympathy, as if she were already defeated. Others looked curious, wondering if the human might surprise everyone. Betting pools formed quickly. The odds were heavily against Jiwoo. 50-1. Some bets went as high as 100-1. Very few cadets bet on the human. Professor Minseo visited Jiwoo in the training hall 3 days before the match. She watched Jiwoo practice dodging and striking against a holographic opponent. "You are preparing well," Minseo observed. Jiwoo stopped, breathing hard. "I'm trying, but Thalrek is bigger, stronger, and has 4 arms. I need every advantage I can find." Minseo tilted her head thoughtfully. "You are thinking about this wrong. You are not looking for advantages to match his strengths. You should be exploiting his weaknesses." "What weaknesses?" "He's a trained Vexian warrior." "Exactly. He is trained in Vexian combat methods which assume certain things about opponents. He expects power versus power, strength versus strength." Minseo gestured with her slender hands. "But you are not Vexian. You should not fight like one." Jiwoo wiped sweat from her forehead. "What do you mean?" "Vexians evolved on a low-gravity world with thin atmosphere. They are built for short, explosive combat. Very powerful, but their endurance is limited. They expect fights to be quick." Minseo pulled up data on her portable display. "Look. Average Vexian combat engagement and training lasts 4 to 6 minutes. After that, their oxygen consumption becomes problematic. So I need to make the fight last longer." "Yes, and there is more." Minseo showed anatomical diagrams. "Vexians have 4 arms, which seems like an advantage. But it also means their attention is divided. They must coordinate 4 limbs instead of 2. Human brains are very efficient at tracking and predicting limb movement. But tracking 4 limbs requires more processing." Jiwoo studied the diagrams. "So if I move unpredictably, he will have trouble tracking you." especially if you are fast. Mincio smiled. Humans have excellent reflexes. Your neural pathways are very quick. This is another Deathworld adaptation. On Earth, slow prey became food. They spent the next hour going over Vexian physiology. Mincio pointed out weak points in the exoskeletal plating, gaps at the joints, thinner armor on the sides of the neck, pressure points where nerves clustered. I cannot tell you how to fight, Mincio said as she prepared to leave. But I can tell you what you are facing. The rest is up to you. Thank you, Professor. Do not thank me yet. Just survive. The night before the match, Jiwoo could not sleep. She lay in her bunk staring at the ceiling, running through scenarios in her mind. She thought about her training on Earth. Taekwondo since she was 7. Judo in high school. Boxing in university. She had always enjoyed martial arts, but she never imagined she would need them like this. She thought about Thalrek, his arrogance, his constant mockery. Part of her wanted to beat him just to wipe that smug expression off his face. But another part of her understood that this match was bigger than personal pride. She was representing all of humanity. If she lost badly, it would confirm every prejudice about humans being weak. No pressure, she thought bitterly. Morning came too quickly. Jiwoo dressed in her training uniform and met Hoon in the cafeteria. She tried to eat, but her stomach was tight with nerves. You're going to do great, Hoon said, though he looked nervous too. Or I'm going to get crushed in front of 500 witnesses. Don't think like that. Jiwoo pushed her food around her plate. I can't help it. Have you seen Thalrek? He's huge. David beat Goliath, Hoon pointed out. That's a myth. So, myths exist for a reason. Despite her anxiety, Jiwoo smiled. Thanks, Hoon. That's what friends are for. The match was scheduled for 1400 hours. At 13:30, Jiwoo made her way to the combat arena. The arena was in the central section of the station, a massive circular space with a raised platform in the middle. Seating surrounded the platform in rising tiers, and every seat was full. Jiwoo had never seen so many beings in one place. The crowd was a mix of dozens of species, all talking and watching and waiting. The noise was overwhelming. She entered through a side corridor that led to a preparation room. Inside, a medical technician checked her vital signs and fitted her with monitoring sensors. These sensors would track her condition during the fight and stop the match if she took too much damage. Nervous? The technician asked. He was a small, furry being with 6 limbs. Very natural. Try to breathe slowly. It will help. Jiwoo focused on her breathing. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Slow and steady. A chime sounded. 2 minutes, the technician said. Jiwoo stood and walked to the entrance tunnel. She could hear the crowd now, a dull roar of voices. Her hands were shaking. She clenched them into fists, entering the arena from Earth Cadet Jiwoo. She walked out into the light. The noise hit her like a physical force. Hundreds of beings cheering, whistling, and making sounds she could not identify. She climbed the steps to the platform and stood at one end. The platform was circular, about 15 meters across, with a slightly padded surface. Boundary markers glowed at the edges. Step outside those markers and you lost the match. Entering the arena from Vex Prime Cadet Thalrek. The crowd noise doubled. Thalrek emerged from the opposite entrance, and Jiwoo felt her confidence waver. He looked enormous. He had chosen to wear ceremonial Vexian battle armor, pieces of decorated metal on his shoulders, arms, and chest. The armor was technically just for show, offering no real protection, but it made him look even more intimidating. Thalrek climbed onto the platform and raised all 4 arms in a traditional Vexian war salute. The crowd roared approval. He then turned to Jiwoo and made an exaggerated bow, mocking her. Jiwoo did not react. She simply stood and waited. Commander Velthar appeared on a floating platform next to the arena. His voice boomed through speakers. This is a sanctioned combat demonstration. The rules are simple. Full contact sparring, victory by submission, incapacitation, or ring out. Medical sensors will monitor both fighters. If serious injury is detected, the match ends immediately. He paused. Fight with honor. Begin when the tone sounds. The commander's platform moved back. Silence fell over the arena. Jiwoo and Thalrek faced each other across the platform. Her heart was pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. The tone sounded. A single, clear note. Thalrek charged immediately, all 4 arms spread wide, intending to overwhelm her with pure aggression. His speed was impressive for someone his size. Jiwoo did not try to meet his charge. She moved to the side, using her smaller size and agility. Thalrek's arms swept through empty air where she had been standing. He turned quickly and attacked again, this time with a combination of strikes from all four hands. Jiwoo blocked, dodged, and retreated. She was not trying to win yet. She was learning his patterns. Thalrek pressed his advantage, driving Jiwoo around the platform. To the crowd, it must have looked like she was losing. But Jiwoo was analyzing every movement. She noticed that Thalrek favored his upper arms for power strikes. His lower arms were mostly for grabbing and grappling. She noticed that he always stepped with his right foot first when advancing. She noticed that after 90 seconds his breathing was already becoming heavy. Thalrek grabbed at her with 2 hands. Jiwoo twisted away, and as she did, she struck his wrist joint with a quick knife hand strike. It was not hard enough to cause damage, but it made him pull back reflexively. "Is running all you can do, human?" Thalrek shouted. "Stand and fight!" The crowd laughed. Jiwoo said nothing. She kept moving, kept watching, kept learning. 2 minutes into the match, Thalrek was noticeably slower. His charges were less explosive. His breathing was labored. The thin atmosphere of Vex Prime had not prepared him for sustained combat. Jiwoo was barely winded. She could do this for hours. Thalrek seemed to realize he needed to end the fight quickly. He roared and charged again, this time attempting a grappling move. He wanted to grab Jiwoo and use his superior strength to pin her. His forearms reached out, trying to trap her. This was the moment Jiwoo had been waiting for. Instead of dodging away, she stepped forward inside his reach. Thalrek was surprised. His hands closed around her, but she was too close for him to get proper leverage. Jiwoo grabbed his leading arm with both hands. She pivoted her hip into his center of gravity. Exactly as she had practiced thousands of times in judo training, she used his own momentum, his own weight, against him. The throw was perfect. 8 feet and 400 pounds of Vexian warrior went airborne. Thalrek's eyes widened in shock as he flipped completely over Jiwoo's hip. For a moment, he seemed to hang in the air. Then he crashed into the platform with tremendous force. The impact was so hard that Jiwoo felt it through her feet. The monitoring sensors around Thalrek's body flashed red. The arena went completely silent. 500 beings stopped breathing at the same moment, shocked by what they had just witnessed. Thalrek lay on the platform, stunned. His eyes were unfocused. His forearms twitched weakly. The decorative armor he wore had cracked from the impact. Warning lights blinked on the medical sensors attached to his body. Jiwoo stood over him, breathing hard but steady. Her stance was ready in case he got up. But she could see he was not getting up any time soon. The silence stretched on. Then someone in the crowd made a sound. A gasp maybe, or a laugh. That broke the spell. Suddenly everyone was talking at once, a wave of noise that rolled through the arena. Medical technicians rushed onto the platform. They surrounded Thalrek, checking his vital signs and examining his injuries. One of them waved a scanner over his chest and frowned. Commander Velthar's platform floated closer. His expression was unreadable. "The match is over," he announced, his voice cutting through the noise. "Victory to Cadet Jiwoo by incapacitation." The crowd erupted. Some cheered. Others argued loudly with their neighbors. Jiwoo heard several different languages being shouted at once. She spotted Hoon in the crowd jumping up and down with excitement. One of the medical technicians approached her. "Are you injured?" Jiwoo shook her head. "I'm fine. Your heart rate is elevated, but that is normal. You may step down." Jiwoo walked to the edge of the platform. Her legs felt shaky now that the adrenaline was fading. She had done it. She had actually done it. Behind her, the medical team was carefully lifting Thalrek onto a floating stretcher. His eyes were open now, but he looked dazed. One of the technicians was talking to him, probably checking his cognitive function. Jiwoo left the arena through the same tunnel she had entered. Hoon was waiting for her at the exit, along with several other human cadets she barely knew. They were all congratulating her, talking excitedly about the throw. "That was incredible," Hoon said, gripping her shoulders. "Did you see his face when you flipped him?" "I was a bit busy at the time," Jiwoo replied, but she smiled. Professor Minseo appeared through the crowd. The Kaltorian professor looked pleased. "Beautiful execution. Perfect use of leverage and timing. Thank you for the advice, Professor. It helped. I gave you information. You turned it into victory. That was all you." Minseo glanced back toward the arena. "Thalrek will recover physically. His pride, however, may take longer to heal." The medical report came 3 hours later. Thalrek had 3 fractured plates in his exoskeleton, a severe concussion, and bruised internal organs. Nothing permanently damaging, but he would be in the medical bay for at least a week. After that, he would need another month of recovery before returning to full training. Jiwoo felt guilty when she heard. She had not meant to hurt him that badly, but Hoon reminded her that Thalrek had asked for the match. He had wanted to humiliate her in front of the entire academy. He had simply underestimated his opponent. The combat demonstration became the only topic of conversation in the academy. Jiwoo could not walk through a corridor without being stopped by someone wanting to talk about it. Some congratulated her. Others asked technical questions about the throw. A few looked at her with new respect in their eyes. The betting pools paid out, and several cadets who had bet on Jiwoo became suddenly wealthy by academy standards. One of them, a crystalline being named Coral, bought Jiwoo dinner in the cafeteria as thanks. He had bet his entire monthly allowance on her at 100-to-1 odds. The footage of the match spread through the Galactic network within hours. News outlets across dozens of worlds showed the moment of the throw. Human defeats Vexian warrior in single move. Deathworlder shows true strength. Earth's hidden warriors. The headlines varied, but the message was the same. People were reevaluating their assumptions about humans. 3 days after the match, Thalrek was released from the medical bay. Jiwoo saw him in the cafeteria that evening. He was moving carefully, still recovering. His ceremonial armor was gone. He wore a simple training uniform like everyone else. Their eyes met across the room. For a moment neither moved. Then Thalrek looked away and sat down with the other Vexian cadets. His posture was different now. Less confident. Less proud. Jiwoo felt no satisfaction from seeing him diminished. She had not wanted to humiliate him. She had just wanted him to stop mocking humans. Later that week, Commander Velthar called Jiwoo to his office. The office was small but functional, with windows showing the stars outside. The commander sat behind a desk made of some dark material that resembled wood but probably was not. Sit, he gestured to a chair. Jiwoo sat, nervous. She had never been summoned to the commander's office before. Velthar studied her for a moment. His scales were their normal blue-purple color, suggesting he was calm. That was an impressive demonstration. Thank you, sir. I underestimated you. Many of us did. He leaned back in his chair. I have been reviewing Earth's classification as a death world. I confess I did not fully understand what that meant until I saw you fight. I just used basic techniques, sir. Any trained fighter could have done the same. But most trained fighters would not have had your endurance, your bone density, your reaction speed. Velthar pulled up a holographic display showing Jiwoo's vital signs during the match. Look at this. Your heart rate never exceeded 140. Your oxygen consumption remained steady. According to the medical sensors, you could have continued fighting for another hour at least. Jiwoo looked at the data. She had not realized how much reserve energy she had maintained. Thalrek, by contrast, was at 85% of his maximum capacity after only 2 minutes. Velthar gestured, and another display appeared showing Thalrek's data. His species is built for power, not endurance. On Vex Prime, fights are quick because no one can sustain prolonged combat in their thin atmosphere. I had advantages he did not expect. Jiwoo said carefully. Yes, and that is my point. Velthar closed the displays. The Coalition has been accepting warriors based on traditional criteria: strength, size, combat lineage. But we have been overlooking other valuable traits that Deathworld species possess. He stood and walked to the window. The galaxy is not always kind. We face threats that require endurance, persistence, adaptability. These are things humans excel at. What are you saying, sir? I am saying that I was wrong. The Academy instructors were wrong, and I believe many others in the Coalition military are wrong. He turned to face her. Humans belong in combat roles, perhaps more than some species who have traditionally filled those roles. Jiwoo did not know what to say. This was not what she had expected. I am recommending that the Academy develop specialized training programs for humans and other Deathworld species. Velthar continued. Programs that recognize your unique capabilities. You will help design these programs. Me, sir? You have proven you understand how to use your advantages. Who better to teach others? He returned to his desk. But first, you need to finish your own training. You still have 8 months before graduation. Yes, sir. Dismissed. Jiwoo stood and saluted. As she left the office, her mind was spinning. She had come to the academy, hoping just to prove that humans could succeed. Now she was being asked to help shape how future human warriors would be trained. That evening, she met Hoon in the common area. She told him about the meeting with Commander Velthar. "That's amazing," Hoon said. "You're going to be famous." "I don't want to be famous. I just want to serve." "Too late, you're already famous." He pulled up his datapad and showed her. There were dozens of articles and videos about her. Analysis of the throw, speculation about human combat abilities, interviews with experts discussing Deathworld evolution. One video had been viewed over 50 million times. It showed the throw from 3 different angles in slow motion. Jiwoo watched herself pivot, watched Thalrek's expression change from confidence to shock, watched his body arc through the air. "They're calling it the Deathworld drop," Hoon said. "The move has a name now," Jiwoo groaned. "That's ridiculous. That's fame." Over the next few weeks, the academy changed. Not dramatically, but noticeably. Humans were treated with more respect. Cadets from other species asked Jiwoo for training tips. Some wanted to learn the throw. Others wanted to understand human endurance techniques. Thalrek returned to training after his recovery period. He was quieter now. He no longer made loud comments about human weakness. In fact, he barely spoke at all. He completed his exercises and attended his classes, but the arrogance was gone. Jiwoo felt sad watching him. She had not wanted to break his spirit. She just wanted him to see humans clearly. One day, she approached him in the training hall. He was practicing alone, working through forms with his forearms. "Thalrek," she said. He stopped and turned to face her. His expression was guarded. "What do you want?" "To apologize." That surprised him. "Apologize? You won the match fairly." "I did. But I did not mean to hurt you so badly, or to damage your reputation." Jiwoo chose her words carefully. "You are a skilled warrior. You trained hard to get here. One match does not define you." Thalrek was silent for a long moment. "You do not understand," he finally said. "In Vexian culture, strength is everything. I built my reputation on you." 6 months after the match, the Galactic Defense Academy looked the same from the outside, the same silver structure orbiting the same planet. But inside, things had changed in ways both small and profound. Jiwoo walked through the corridors with Hoon, heading to their final combat examination. Other cadets nodded to them as they passed. Some offered words of encouragement. A few even saluted, though they were all the same rank. "Still weird," Hoon muttered after a group of avian cadets saluted and moved on. "Very weird," Jiwoo agreed. The number of human cadets at the academy had increased significantly. What had been only 12 humans 6 months ago was now over 200. The coalition had opened recruitment centers on Earth and fast-tracked qualified applicants. Young humans from every continent applied, eager to join the military and serve among the stars. They were not all accepted. Standards remained high. But those who did arrive found an academy much more welcoming than the one Jiwoo had entered a year ago. The combat training program had been restructured. Commander Velthar had made good on his promise. There were now specialized courses for Deathworld species, teaching them how to maximize their natural advantages. There were also courses for non-Deathworld species on how to work alongside humans and similar species. Jiwoo had helped design some of the curriculum, working with Professor Minseo and other instructors. They had created training modules on endurance tactics, stress management, and environmental adaptation. The Academy now recognized that different species brought different strengths to the military. The changes went beyond training. The cafeteria now offered more Earth foods properly prepared. The gravity settings in human quarters were maintained at Earth normal so that human cadets could sleep comfortably. Small changes, but they mattered. Not everyone was happy about these changes. Some older cadets, particularly from traditionally warrior species like the Vexians, felt that the Academy was lowering standards to accommodate weaker species. There were still occasional conflicts and arguments, but the data did not lie. In endurance exercises, humans consistently outperformed most other species. In adaptability tests, they excelled. In team exercises that required persistence over multiple days, human-led teams won more often than not. The galaxy was learning what Deathworld evolution meant. Thalrek had not left the Academy as many expected. Instead, he had stayed and continued his training. He rarely spoke to anyone, keeping to himself and focusing on improvement. Jiwoo occasionally saw him in the training halls working harder than before, studying tactics and technique rather than relying solely on strength. She wondered if he would recover his confidence. Time would tell. The final combat examination was a grueling 3-day event. Cadets were divided into teams and sent into simulation environments where they faced various challenges. Enemy combatants, environmental hazards, resource management, injury scenarios. The examination tested everything they had learned over the past year. Jiwoo's team included Hoon, 2 avian cadets named Kirlo and Vash, and a crystalline being called Rendal. It was a mixed species team, which was intentional. The coalition military wanted officers who could lead diverse groups. The simulation began in a jungle environment. Dense vegetation, high humidity, and dangerous predators hidden in the trees. It reminded Jiwoo of Earth's rainforests, though the plants were alien shapes and colors. Spread out but maintain visual contact, Jiwoo instructed. She had been elected team leader by the others, largely because of her reputation. Watch for movement in the trees. Kirlo, you take point. Your vision is better than ours. Kirlo, one of the avian cadets, chirped acknowledgement and moved forward. Her species had excellent eyesight, able to spot details from great distances. They moved through the jungle carefully. The simulation was realistic enough that it felt dangerous. Sounds echoed through the trees. Things moved in the shadows. Twice they were attacked by holographic predators that seemed completely real. Each time, they worked together to defend themselves without taking casualties. Hoon was good at tracking, following signs through the undergrowth. Vash had strong aerial reconnaissance abilities. Rendal's crystalline body could refract light, making him nearly invisible when still, which made him an excellent scout. And Jiwoo, as team leader, coordinated their different abilities into an effective unit. They completed the jungle scenario in 16 hours, faster than the instructors had expected. The next scenario was a frozen wasteland. Then a desert. Each environment tested different skills and pushed the team to their limits. By the 3rd day, everyone was exhausted. Everyone except Jiwoo and Hoon. The human cadets were tired, certainly, but they still had energy reserves. This confused some of their teammates until Rendal pointed out that Deathworld species were built for exactly this kind of prolonged challenge. You could keep going, couldn't you? Rendal asked Jiwoo during a brief rest period. For a while longer, yes. Remarkable. My people would have collapsed 2 scenarios ago. Different strengths, Jiwoo said. You can process information faster than I can. You can perform calculations in your head that would take me hours. I can run longer. Both are valuable. Rendal's crystalline body chimed softly, which Jiwoo had learned meant he was pleased. A good philosophy. They completed the final examination successfully. Not perfectly, but well enough to pass with high marks. When they emerged from the simulation chambers, exhausted and hungry, instructors were waiting to congratulate them. Commander Velthar personally reviewed their performance. Excellent work. All of you. This is what the coalition military should look like. Different species, different abilities working together. Graduation came 2 weeks later. It was a formal ceremony held in the main assembly hall. Families could attend via holographic link, watching from their home worlds. Jiwoo saw her parents in the holographic section, waving proudly. Her mother was crying, which made Jiwoo's eyes water too. There were 300 graduating cadets that year, representing 52 different species. They stood in neat rows wearing their dress uniforms. Jiwoo wore hers with pride. The earth patch on her shoulder seemed to glow under the lights. Commander Velthar gave a speech about duty, honor, and service. Then the Coalition Defense Minister, attending via hologram, spoke about the importance of unity among the stars. Finally, they called each graduate forward individually to receive their commission. When Jiwoo's name was announced, the applause was thunderous. Humans in the holographic audience cheered loudly. Even some of the alien cadets and families clapped enthusiastically. "Congratulations, Lieutenant Jiwoo," Commander Velthar said as he handed her the official commission token. It was a small device that contained her rank, assignment, and military credentials. "You have earned this." "Thank you, sir. I look forward to seeing what you accomplish." Jiwoo returned to her place in the formation. Hoon was called next, then the others. One by one, they became officers in the Coalition Defense Forces. When the ceremony ended, there was a reception in the cafeteria. Food from dozens of worlds had been prepared. Jiwoo found herself surrounded by well-wishers, including Professor Min Seo. You did well, the Kaltorian professor said, but then I knew you would. Thank you for everything, Professor. Your advice made a real difference. You made the difference. I simply provided information. Min Seo's large eyes studied her kindly. What is your assignment? I'm being posted to the Coalition starship Horizon. It is a patrol vessel on the outer rim. Hoon is being assigned there too. Good, you will do well together. Min Seo paused. The galaxy is changing, Jiwoo. Humanity is part of that change. I think you will help shape what comes next. I hope so. Later, as the reception was winding down, Jiwoo found herself near one of the large viewing windows. She stood alone for a moment, looking out at the stars. So many worlds out there, so many species, so much to learn and discover. Congratulations, she turned. Thalrek stood a few feet away. He looked different. Older somehow, though only a year had passed. More thoughtful? Thank you, Jiwoo said. Did you graduate? Yes, barely. He approached the window and stood beside her, looking out at the same stars. I am being assigned to a training facility on Vex Prime, teaching new recruits. That's good. You have a lot of knowledge to share. Perhaps. He was quiet for a moment. I owe you an apology. A real one, not the angry words I said before. You already apologized. No. I acknowledged my defeat. That is different. He turned to look at her. I was wrong about humans. About you. I judged you based on prejudice and ignorance. I tried to humiliate you because I was afraid that if humans were strong, it made my own strength less special. Jiwoo listened without interrupting. You taught me something important, Thalrek continued. Strength is not about size or power. It is about knowing your capabilities and using them well. You knew exactly what you could do, and you did it with precision. He held out one of his 4 hands. I hope you will accept my apology. Jiwoo took his hand and shook it. The grip was gentle, controlled. Apology accepted. And for what it is worth, I hope you become a good teacher. Your students will be lucky to learn from someone who understands both strength and humility. Thalrek's expression softened. Thank you. Perhaps our paths will cross again someday. Perhaps. He left,